Night camp. I just came from there last week, and there was so much energy. You have no idea, especially on Friday. Every song, I mean, it was incredible. And so lucky to have Dr. Unina Foster here with me today. Cantor is with some real special. Cantor and I are going to be switching places throughout the summer. When she's away, I'm here. There's almost never a moment that we're going to be together, unfortunately, but we'll bring the spirit of one another here. And this is particularly a difficult service for our community, and we will be certainly sharing memories and thinking about Paul Staley throughout, as we will be as it continues. If you hadn't heard, we lost our really beloved accompanist who had been with our congregation for over 20 years and has served Buffalo congregations, Christian, Jewish, as an accompanist for decades and decades, as one of the premier organ players in the area, pianist, one of the most talented that we have. It's a very, very deep loss. So as we're gathering, does everyone have a prayer book? Everyone have a little insert? I think that you're good then. If you do need to use the restroom at any point, it's all over there. If you need help, just let us know we're here. Joanne has been gracious enough. One of the things that Cantor is in charge of is anything technical. And so we are hoping we get online today. We will find out. But Joanne is braving it with our Boxcast. So thank you, Joanne. And Kyle, of course, as well. We're going to begin with a song that we're dedicating to Paul, just to set the tone, to Paul Staley. Piano Man by Billy Joel. This is from Bruce. He couldn't be here tonight, but he wanted to write a reflection at the beginning of the service in honor of Paul Staley. As you know, I miss very few services. I'm very sorry to be missing tonight's service, because as I've often said, one of the most important reasons we come to services is because we get comfort here. This week, we need a lot of comfort. Paul Staley wasn't just a member of our temple staff, he was a member of our temple family. For the entire time we've been Congregation Shir Shalom, and for many years before that with Temple Beth Am. It's almost impossible to imagine services without him. As you know, Paul wasn't Jewish, but he was as important part of our services as reading the Torah. There's a saying that music is food for the soul. Paul kept our souls well fed. From Erev Shabbat to the High Holy Days, to B'nai Mitzvahs, to special events, from joyous songs to our most somber and significant prayers. Through different cantors and rabbis, Paul was the constant. He was always here, even when he was battling cancer. He didn't miss that many services. Traditionally, he was off in the summer, but since COVID hit and the summer services took on special meaning, he's been here for many of them, including last night, Friday night. Who could have imagined that would be the last time we'd see and hear from him? Speaking of COVID, while I have many memories of Paul, two that stand out are from the pandemic. One is that first Friday night service that was live stream only, when there was only 5 of us in the sanctuary, and his music was so important to those watching. The other was High Holy Days at the Transit Drive-In, dealing with that chilly breeze on the roof of the snack bar, trying to keep his sheets of music intact and his fingers from freezing. As you know, I joked with Paul a lot during the announcements. I'll miss laughing with him. More important, I'll miss having him in my life and the life of our temple. Thank you, Bruce, for your reflections. And I think we all can really relate. All of us have our own memories, and we are collecting memories of Paul to give to the family. There will be a memorial service next Saturday, the 6th, at his other church on Saratoga in Harlem, Methodist Church, at 11 o'clock, and we've canceled our services that day in order to allow our members to attend. We're going to begin with Hine Matov, one prayer that Paul knew. Probably he dreamt of it often because we almost always started. It's on 128 if you want to follow along, and Dr. Foster will lead us.
Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
How wonderful it is for us to be together. We're going to turn to candle lighting on page 120. And I'd like to invite up Deborah in honor of her mom, Norma Perlman, of blessed memory. It's the 1-year yard site coming up. Norma was an incredibly optimistic and wonderful person. And so we'll have you light. It's just pressing the buttons underneath. We've learned over there, just lift them up. And right underneath are the lights. The blessing is on 120 in honor of Norma. And we'll bring in the lights, and we'll have Dr. Foster.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
May Norma's spirit fill us with love and joy during the service. Shabbat Shalom. And actually, if you want to lift up the cup there, we're going to turn to Kiddush, which is on page 123 as we sanctify the day of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'ri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shavat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzo, hilchilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tevilah le'mikra'ei kodesh,
Why don't we continue on page 125 with an English reading we can do together. I think it speaks perfectly to this past week. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We'll breathe in everything we want to hold on to, all those special memories, and breathe out everything we could have used to avoid, all the things that have cluttered our lives. Here we go. Now we're ready to welcome a Shabbat officially on 138 with L'Chadodi. And we're going to sing the first and the last verse. On the last verse we rise, we face the field over here in honor of Shabbat. We'll bow to the Shabbat bride, and then we welcome one another with a hand wave like this.
L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat ne'avela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat ne'avela. One more time with that one. L'Chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat ne'avela. L'Chadodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekavela, Ya'amor v'zachor v'divor echad, Ish minanu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litala. L'chadodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekavela, L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. V'hori v'shalom v'ateret bala, Gam v'simcha u'v'zohala, Toch emunei am segula, Bo'ikala, Bo'ikala. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela.
La, we can turn back. And we remain standing for our call of community, Baruch on page 146. 146. Are your pages blowing? I feel like we're in 100 Acres Park. What's Winnie the Pooh? It's always blustery there. Woods, okay.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach,
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Let's turn to page 151 at the bottom, and we'll read together that second reading. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works, in the living language that it gives forth? Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amos Yisrael. Page 152, 153.
Just want to close your eyes. Because when it says Shema, you just need to hear. And see what you hear tonight for yourself. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We'll continue with the V'ahavta on 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם מצוותיי הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We learn from our tradition that breath is prayer. Every time we breathe, we're praying because we're so grateful to be alive. And breath is something that overtakes us. Even when we aren't thinking about it, we breathe, right? Here, I feel like with the wind, it feels like we're hearing God's breath, right? It feels like prayer is happening not just among human beings here, but in the beautiful rustle of all the trees that surround us here. Can you hear it? Yanina, when you said about the, what's a here, that's what I'm hearing. Beautiful rattle of leaves.
There's always a message in it.
Yeah, when it's not blowing our papers away. Right? Page 158, we'll continue with Mi Chamocha, and I think you have a special melody picked up.
Yes, I did it the last time. Just give me a sec. We are living near the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beginning beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. No ratihilot oseh feleh. Malchutecha rovanecha bokei ayam b'fnei Moshe Miriam. Ze anu v'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar Kif v'da Adonai et Yaakov galo miyad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
Blessed are you, God, who allows us to overcome what we were not expecting to overcome. I think that's true when we live through things like the pandemic that we don't expect. We don't know if we'll make it to the other side. Let's turn to page 160, the Hashkivenu, and we have another melody picked out.
A little melody. Just switch it up a little bit. You know, oftentimes when we welcome Shabbat, we may do a song about the angels. What's it called? Shalom Aleichem. This isn't exactly the same, but this little song, Love Surround You, is about the angels, which it seems like we need a lot of these days as we go through such trying times. And the Hashkivenu was when we needed prayers for getting us home safely. And we still always need prayers. We're just not walking in the woods having a struggle with bandits. But there are all kinds of bandits in our lives even today. So, love surround you, peace surround you, angels surround you every day, all day long, morning, noon, and night. You are surrounded by the light. Love surround you, peace surround you, angels surround you every day, all day long, morning, noon, and night. You are surrounded by the light. You are surrounded by the light of God, the light of peace, the light of love. You are surrounded by the light of God, the light of peace, the light of love. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha v'tapnenu beitza tova milfanecha Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
We have our Sukkot Shalom, our dwelling place of peace that we have here in our beautiful Shir Shalom garden. We invite you to rise if you're able. Find your own space if you'd like. Take time for your own private prayers and devotions. The tefillah can be found on page 164 to 180. Is the tent secure? We're okay, right? I was talking to the new rabbi at Temple Zion, Rabbi Gutman, and he told me he'd served in Auckland, New Zealand, and he said that they had a tradition of, in their camp, of I think every year they would come, there would be no cabins. They had to build their cabins, and every year at least one of them, they would wake up without a cabin. Only in New Zealand. So we're going to turn to one of the meditations that is at the end when you finish the Amidah. And it's a beautiful one by Juliet Spitzer. Let's see, I think it's around page 180. Let me tell you. Yes, it's 180. It's in the paragraph that says, "My God, guard my speech," and it's a variation of it, but you'll hear most of the
Elohai nitzur lishoni mera, usfatai midaber mirma. Elohai nitzur lishoni mera, usfatai midaber mirma. V'imkor elai nafshi tidon, v'nafshi kafala kotiyeh. Betach libi betoratecha, ubemitzvot techa tirdov nafshi. My God, guard my tongue from all evil, and my lips from sprouting lies. May I think before I begin to speak. May my words be gentle and wise. Help me ignore those who wish me ill. Help me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah, that I know how to answer your call. My God, guard my tongue. Ah, da, da, da. My lips from sprouting lies. May I think before I begin to speak. Make my words be gentle and wise. Help me ignore those who wish me ill. Help me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah, that I know how to answer your call. Oseh shalom bimromah, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael.
May God of peace provide peace for us here in our world. As we turn to our healing blessing, I just want to acknowledge this has been a very hard week for a lot of us in our community. How many of you have been feeling a little off balance this week because of the news of Paul Staley? Anyone else feel that way? I just want to let you know, first of all, his family, Millie and Liz, I don't know his other children, they're wonderful, strong people. Paul, as you know, had been having cancer treatment for quite some time, and he actually had been a phenomenal patient, one of the best. His doctor kept saying, he's a superhuman, I don't know what's going, he's doing. What ended up happening, for those of you that are curious, but also just to know that it was very peaceful, it was very quick. He had a heart attack, and it was Monday morning, and he was gone within minutes of when it happened. But it's very difficult situation, so I think we all could use a little healing. I know for me, when we have such terrible news, I feel off balance for a while, and I know it's going to be like this. I'd say tonight we're doing a cappella in a way in honor of Paul, because we really weren't ready for full music quite yet, to be able to just have our voices and not the piano or guitar. So we're going to turn to our prayer for healing on 371, which is the Mishaberach. We'll go around, and if you have names you want to say out loud, feel free to do so. Just raise your hand. to the Staley family and all of us as well, and all those who are in need of hope and healing in this word to Jonathan as well. We are going to bring all our attention to one another and to the people we love in this world that we want prayers to go out to. And we'll sing the Misha Berach together.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A complete healing of body and soul. All right, I have a little bit of a trivia question for you. How long did it take for the Israelites to go from Egypt to the Promised Land? All right, 40 years. That's what the standard answer, right? Well, it's sort of. It's actually a pretty complicated answer because they weren't walking the whole time, right? They're stopping in between. And actually, for the majority of the time, they're stopped only in one place. Which is right overlooking at the steps of Moab, looking over Jordan. So I looked it up, and it's roughly 700 kilometers, or 434 miles, give or take a few. It depends, we don't actually know the exact starting place and ending place, but somewhere around there, from Goshen, which is Tel Daba, to Mount Sinai, and that in itself took 47 days. That's a pretty good trip, 434 miles in 47 days. I'd say with there's supposed to be 2 million people, that's quite a distance they're walking there. And they were 2 years of wandering to different places, 38 years over in that one place. So it's a tricky, they were wandering for 40 years, but they weren't completely lost the whole time. You got the kind of image where are we going? No, they had a place. And actually, this week in the Torah portion, we have a double portion, Matot Maseh. And this is the very, very end of the book of Numbers. It lists in that final portion, Maseh, all the marches of the Israelites. And it says that they started out in Egypt, troop by troop, set out from Ramses, and continued from Ramses to Sukkot, and Sukkot to Etam, and so on. It actually lists each of them. For those of you who have been to Jerusalem, they have the Stations of the Cross. Well, there actually is the Stations of the Exodus. I had actually never heard of this before. The Stations of the Exodus, there are 42 of them. I know it's called the Stations of the Exodus because Wikipedia told me that. Yeah, Rabbi Wikipedia, right? Well, it probably was written by a rabbi. The experience of traveling through the wilderness was not just about traveling. There was actually a purpose to it. It was about building a cohesive community. When they started out, they were a mixed multitude. So they had to come together as a community, just like we've been describing over the last month, our journey as Shir Shalom. When we started out on July 1st, 2012, we were not Shir Shalom then. It took time. When we arrived July 1st, 2022, we knew that we were Shir Shalom. But that takes journeying and moving together to really find out who we are. A cohesive community is one that can withstand immediate threats, but can also last the test of time. And that is what was needed from the ancient Israelites. Well, we're far removed from that wilderness. We hardly even know we actually don't know where any of these stops were. We'd have to go investigate. There was some actually expeditions to find the wanderings. Believe it or not, archaeologists went out in search of the wanderings of the wilderness, and they couldn't find any because it's just a bunch of sand. Maybe with modern techniques they could have. But we still see wanderings in our experience, in our Torah cycles. We read about our wanderings for most of the year, and in that way re-experience it. We also see it in our holidays, like Passover. We eat the matzah of our affliction, of our wandering. On Sukkot, we build temporary structures like this one to re-experience the wandering. And we see it also in something I want to talk about today, which is Jewish overnight camping. How many of you went to Jewish overnight camping? My son over there, 9-year-old, and Jacob, his friend, they went. Jacob for the first time, and Noam for the first time is 4 weeks. How'd you like it, guys? Noam went for 4 weeks, and Jacob for 2 weeks. Do you guys? What do you think? Was Jewish overnight camping fun? I'm going to embarrass them as 9 and 8-year-olds.
You didn't want to come home.
Yeah, no, they didn't want to come home. It was a wonderful experience for them and a wonderful experience for Ashir and I. I got a chance last week. They go to a camp, it's called Havaya, which means kind of experience, and that is in the Pocono Mountains, which is near kind of where Ashir and I grew up in Philadelphia. That was one of the places people would go skiing and also for their summer retreat. And this is the Reconstructionist Movement camp, but it's actually secretly the Lazarus Klein family camp. Because over the years, we've had about 11 family member kids that have been there with 4 different families. And this was the least that we've had in 10 years. There was only, in addition to my kids, there was one other cousin there. So there was only 4 of us. We couldn't take a family picture. But when I arrived there on Thursday of this past week to be the camp rabbi for 4 days, I saw my kids in tears. The tears started Thursday and they continued. These aren't tears, happy to see me. These are tears, please don't take us away from this kid. Each one of them, the final night, Saturday night, they had a big program, Havdalah, and they showed a slideshow. One by one, each one of my kids started crying. So it was very heartwarming. When we think about the history of overnight camp, so how many of you went, raise your hand again if you went to an overnight camp. It actually has quite a long history. It goes back to the late 19th century is when the Jewish overnight camp movement started. And it was part of this idea of the overcrowding cities. If you know, in that period where most of our relatives came to America from 1880s to 1920, the cities were just booming. There were 2 million Jews just alone that arrived during that time. And the cities were smelly and gross. So it was a way to get kids away from that into the outskirts. And there actually is one camp that was started in 1903. It's called Surprise Lake Camp. It was founded in 1902 outside of New York City. And it had it had Eddie Cantor, Neil Diamond, Joseph Heller, Jerry Stiller, Gene Simmons, Neil Simon, and Walter Matthau are all graduates. Of course, Bob Dylan, we have our Bob Dylan Shabbat. He was a camp counselor, a music director at one of the camps near Minnesota. Camps also were very important during some of the disease epidemics to get the kids away, like polio. It was a way to hopefully save them so that they wouldn't be afflicted by polio. And over the years, they continued really to acculturate Jews. Today, according to the Foundation for Jewish Camping, that was started after the Jewish study in the 90s, which said camping Trips to Israel and Jewish day schools are the three most important ways of Jewish identity formation. And so they started this wonderful organization called the Foundation for Jewish Camping. It actually gives grants out to new campers every year. It'll give $500, $700 to the new camp to help them with their camper. In 2019, before the pandemic, there were 77,000 overnight Jewish campers. And I imagine something like 30, 40,000 counselors and other staff members. So an incredible, over 100,000 people, Jews and others being served in these camps. Over 150 camps, 45% of which are here in the Northeast. So it's because of the long history where most of the Jews were and most of the camps were started. And there's Orthodox camps, conservative camps, Reform, Reconstructionist camps. There's Zionist camps. I worked at a camp called Habanim Dror Galil, which is part of a Zionist movement, Young Judea. There's just JCC camps like we have here, the Seneca Lake camp, Lakeland before it. These are community-run camps. And we have quite a lot of people, at least 40 kids, I think, from this area go over to Seneca Lake, if not more. And it's really an important part of their history. They go to Israel and all different things. Camps are also, they're used for other things. For the Ukrainians this year, there's been a wonderful program. Ukrainians that are not coming over as Jewish, but the Greater Los Angeles Federation and Philanthropy Group sponsored 29 Ukrainian Jewish refugees. Oh yeah, they were Jewish, to go over to the camp over there in California, Camp Gesher. It's not all a rosy picture. There actually was a report this year by New Voice magazine, which is a young people's Jewish journal, which talked about some of the damaging components. As with every organization, there are things that are hard in areas of growth. But it is this amazing opportunity to really be in one place and to learn and to grow. And then the kids come back here and they feel ownership over their Jewish identity in a way that they don't today. As we think about this move from the wilderness that's always with us, it's important that we have that, because at times we have been displaced. We need to be prepared for that. This coming week, this Shabbat, we have Av, the month of Av coming. And this is our month of displacement, where we recognize the destruction of the first and second temples, and this moment where we felt completely displaced from our home and had to live in the wilderness. I've asked Yonina to prepare a song. It's to really usher in this month, the saddest month, which paves our way towards the high holidays. Tisha B'Av represents the 7-week journey towards high holidays as well. We are going to be looking at By the Waters of Babylon, which is on page 674. And it is actually the only Jewish holiday that really occurs in the summer, so that those Jewish campers, often that's the only holiday that they are able to observe. And they have a day dedicated to Tisha B'Av.
Where they sit on hard wooden floors, probably.
Yeah, they play Holocaust.
It occurs, though, I would like to offer some strength, if I may. So at the end of the book of Torah, we actually often say chazak, chazak. So I have a little chant to give us some strength. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, v'nitchazek, chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, v'nitchazek. Let us be strong, strong, and strengthen each other. Strong, strong, and strengthen each other. As we move into Av, and for some, in some ways, a little bit of kind of mourning that we have to change into something else. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for the remember thee, remember, we remember thee, Zion. Al Naharot, Al Naharot, Al Naharot, Bavel. Sham yashavnu, yashavnu, gam bachinu, bezachreinu, 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 et Zion. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, remember, we remember thee, Zion.
We rise for Aleinu, page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, l'ateit gedulah liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'nishtachavim u'odim, lifnei melech malchei hamachim, hakadosh baruch hu.
Page 591.
V'ne'emar v'yad Adonai v'melech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. We turn to the Mourner's Kaddish, and I'm going to read our list of names. It is in your leaflet as well. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. This week, we remember Norma Jean Harris, Donnie Perlman, that's my great uncle, and Paul Staley, all who passed this past week. On our Shloshim list from this past month, we remember Esther Amiel, Warren Beckman, Ellen Kaufman Bernstein, Solomon Matlin, Ida German Steinberg, and Jean Winkelstein. On our yahrzeit list from years past, we remember Jesse Ackerholt, Sarah Berg, Morris Berman, Ann Bernstein, Bertha Bookbinder, Philip Brogadier, Benjamin Bush, Dr. Jerry Chutkow, Erwin Kropp, Martin W. Fagan, Maynard Feldman, Maurice Fry, Helene Fudeman, Milton Gavin, Jack Garson, Emmanuel Gleckel, Abraham Gudovitz, Charles M. Handel, Irving Konovitz, Norman Krieger, Jack K. Kuritsky, Sheldon Kurtzman, Richard Lark, Lalina McDonald, Ruth Mindel, Harry M. Newman, Jack Orlick, Saul Ostroff, Emma Paris, Norma Perlman, Gary Phillips, Nathan Pritikin, Evelyn Rebin, Louis Raccoon, Samuel Rubenstein, Henry Schlanger, Isidore Schlisserman, A. George Singer, Julian J. Sugarman, Norman Sweet, Rebecca Weber, Sarah Bunis Weiss, Shirley Winters, Erwin Wolf, and Boris Zebrak. If you have other names, just raise your hand. And if you ever want a name listed, just call Nancy in our office. All those whose custom it is to rise, and those of you that would like to also rise for Paul Staley, Prayer is on page 598. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma, Divrach, Yurite, V'yamlik Malchute, V'chayechon, V'yamachon, V'chayei, Dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agalav, V'zman, Kiri, V'yamru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah, V'varach, Le'olam, Le'omei Omei. V'yitvarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitparar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemeda kudusha b'richu, le'la mikol b'chata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran v'alma v'yimuru, amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimur, amen. Oseh shalom v'yimramav, uyaseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel b'mir, amen. May God grant comfort to those who are grieving and all those mourners, and to peace in this world, and we say amen. You may be seated, and I have a poem dedicated to Paul that Sheila over there wrote. She always sends me wonderful poems. A pianist plays in a key of life and submerges himself in his ability just to strike a note, the note which resounds and duplicates, turning into song, one note which evokes self-introspection, possibly a smile or tear, familiar but different each time you play, wondering how many more times you will play your piece, which comes so magically and easily, like a gentle wind without thought, without intention. Music fills every part of your being and gives you the breath of life one more time. Play on, my friend. Your music will continue to fill my heart with will continue to fill my heart. With each song I will remember your intent, and your gentle smile brought me comfort itself. Thank you, Sheila. We're gonna do a song which is about living each day. It's based on the Psalms, living each day to its fullest.
Limnot yameinu, limnot yameinu, limnot yameinu ken hoda v'navi levav chokhmah. Limnot yameinu ken hoda v'navi levav chokhmah. Teach us to treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day, that we may open our hearts to your wisdom. Oh, teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day. Treasure each day. Teach us to treasure each day.
I'd like to invite over Joanne Markesy, our Executive Director, in lieu of Bruce, to offer our announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We would like to thank our service greeter this evening and poet extraordinaire, Sheila Bernard Tucker. Thank you for your help. We'd also like to thank Kyle Burt for doing a great setup every week. We appreciate your help. Very special thank you to Rabbi Alex and Dr. Yelena Foster for a meaningful service in honor of Shabbat. We are very saddened by the loss of Paul Stingley, our longtime organist. It is hard to believe that he was here last week. We are gathering memories of him to share with his family, and they will be given to the family on Monday. So if you'd like to send something over the weekend, you still can, to nancy.mcgorry@shearshalombuffalo.org. And if you don't remember that, you can always send it to me, and I'd be happy to forward it to her. May his memory always be for a blessing. Our virtual offering on Saturday is just one thing, Torah study at 9 a.m. on Zoom. You can check out our website for the link. And we are very excited to announce that our Shabbat morning service will actually be right where you're sitting under the tent on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And you can bring your own lunch if you'd like and stay to eat with everyone. Please RSVP to me if you'd like to attend. If you are going on the Danube River Cruise in August, the third and final class on Sunday with Dr. Ted Steinberg will also be in person and via Zoom. And on Monday, we have a very special event at Transit Valley Country Club, a joint event with Temple Basian. So we'd like to thank everyone who's attending and anyone that also donated to the raffle. Our membership committee will be meeting for the first time under new leadership. Our new VP of membership is Tara Karch-Cross, and we're going to have our first meeting on Wednesday at 7 via Zoom. We're looking for new committee members, so if you're interested, please let me know. We're trying to reduce the time of announcements. So you'll find in your service leaflet there's an insert with upcoming events. Please take it home so you know what's happening here. We also really appreciate if you RSVP if you're attending the service. It helps us set up enough chairs, have enough leaflets, have enough Onik food. So please keep RSVPing. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to Rabbi, Cantor, Todd, Bruce, or myself. We're here for you. Please help yourself to the Onik Shabbat novelties that'll be out in a moment. And if you'd like to sponsor an Onik Shabbat for a special occasion or no occasion at all, please let me know. Wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. And our friends the Perlmans, who are here for Yortzeit, need a ride home about 7 minutes from here. So if anyone can help them, please let me know. Unless you know them, you can let them know directly. We appreciate someone helping.
Yeah, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow, look at that. That's amazing.
Wonderful.
And thank you to Joanne as well for all that she does for our community. Thank you.
Rabbi, you didn't tell Bruce that we're trying to show him the...
Yeah, no, he knows. He knows.
I think there's actually a bed in there somewhere there where Joanne must sleep.
You didn't see her office pulls out into a bed. Every executive director has to happen. 6:25, we have a Don Olam, and I think you're going to do an opening verse.
Just a little sweet thing. Mirembe. Mirembe, mirembe, salam shalom. Make peace in the village, make peace in the homes. Make peace in the morning until daylight is done. Mirembe, mirembe, salam shalom. Adon olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nira le'asa v'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra v'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh Vehu yiyeh v'tifara Vehu echad ve'en sheni Lehamshir lo lahachbira Ve'li reshit ve'li tachlit Ve'lo ha'oz ve'ha'misra Vehu eli ve'chai go'ali Ve'tzur chabli be'et sahara Vehu nisi umanosli Menat kosi b'yom ekra V'yahado afkid ruchi V'etishan v'ha'ira V'im ruchi g'vi'ati Adonai li v'lo
God is with us and we will not fear. We have a very special birthday today. Over here, Mr. Steve Hurwitz. Yes, come on. You can stand over there. We'll bring you the challah if you like. Or come on up. Let's say he's turning about 30 today, I think. 83 years shy. I was assuming in the 60s. Wow. All right, why don't you, every week because of COVID, we have an empty Kiddush cup and we give away the challah. So lead us. Come on, go do it. Let's do a Yom Huledet Sameach. 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 And many more in good health. And they're listening. Okay, you get the challah. Okay, that concludes our service today. So what you're gonna do is take out your leaflet from the book, return your prayer book over there, and there are special sorbets for you. Yeah, happy birthday, Steve. Shabbat Shalom, and so glad that you came. it's the longest standing. That wasn't the longest standing, the only one that's still in its original. That was really good. Did you know any of them? Oh, I love them. Maybe they were. Maybe my yeah, no, definitely. That's usually. But if we were playing music. No, I'll read that. So we're gonna go inside. You want to go inside for? Oh, you don't want to do it right now. You gotta do it different. Goodbye. It's up to you. You said you already said keep the item. You're gonna use it. I'll get it there. I mean, we could say cottage over there. You know, also I think we are gonna have an unveiling. I think we planned. We already did.
Did I miss it? That's how this legend I totally don't even remember. I forgot, yes. We were over and oh my gosh. This is so crazy. I went to the cemetery this week for the third time. And so it was funny. First day, because I don't know why we stuff it on LA Creek. Well, when something happens, we have to travel. That guy. Just 67. How are you doing? Very bad. Second list in my trunk, I didn't know that I did right for Raj. Real quick, sorry, I don't mean what a joy. That's so funny. It was like, did I go I think I'm remembering now, and it went quick. My wife always jokes about that. I forgot I did their own mailing. Was it in June or May? Yeah, Mother's Day.
I remember, right.
They did Apollo.
Oh no, I'm special things to remember.
It's like every year they want to do it on Mother's Day. Yeah. But I mean,
But guess
it was
what?
for their
Nobody
mother.
wants to do it on Father's Day. Nobody wants to do it on Father's Day. Because the mothers, they want to like honor their mothers on Mother's Day. Like, how does somebody want to honor their father on Mother's Day? Anyway, very sorry for the loss. It was a sweet day for everybody there. Back you up? Sorry, Alex. The mask and it's hard to and I didn't realize who it was. Or the other day. I had a mask, but they had a mask. No, you could say. I wear one inside still.
one was even worse than the one I got made. I'm not after the last one.
Ignore wastewater. They're going together. Kids? Okay.
No.